everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back. In today's video, we are going to be working with the new October card kit called Snowflake Splendor, and we are going to be using the layered snowflake dies from this set, which is what I have here, to create some layered designs on some ornaments that we're going to create on a card design. So I have a bunch of snowflakes that I've already die cut using some of the cardstock from the kit. So I've used blueberry, summer splash, and snow cone cardstocks, and I have a whole bunch of these die cut so that I can do some layering of the various snowflake pieces. I also have my Blueprints 26 Dynamics, and I'm just going to be using that little bow from this die set to create little bows on the top of our ornaments. So I've went ahead and cut this out of Silver Sparkle cardstock, which is also included in the card kit. I'm going to be using a tag from the Tag Builder Blueprint 6 Dynamics to create our ornament shape on the card front. So I have this tag here that I've cut from Grout Gray cardstock, and it keeps the whole entire tag intact but does provide that fun stitching detail around the outside edge. So this is going to be the base of our ornament on our card design. To create the panel that we're going to adhere the ornament to on our card front, I'm using the A2 Stitched Rectangle Stack Set 2 Dynamics, and I am using the third smallest rectangle in this set, and I've cut out a panel from white cardstock. I also have a piece of cardstock. This is blue raspberry to match the snowflakes in this set here that I've cut out, and this is cut slightly larger than that panel to use as a cardstock mat. And then last but not least, I have my card base, which is a top folding white card base that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. So these are all the die cut pieces that we're going to need to assemble the card, and then I'm also going to use the Snow Globe Sentiment stamp set to add my greeting. This is a really great sentiment stamp set for some basic holiday greetings. So before we start to assemble the card, I just kind of wanted to show you the different ways that you can kind of play around with these snowflake dies. So there are so many ways that you can mix and match these. You can use different color cardstocks. You can layer different snowflakes together for so many different design possibilities. So I just kind of had fun and kind of grabbed different ones and kind of layered them on top of each other. Some of them I love together, some of them not so much. It just kind of depends on what kind of fits together and what kind of design that you like. Now this one I really love because this die is meant to go in the center there, and you can see that it's perfectly shaped to fit the center of that snowflake. So everything layers beautifully on top of one another. And then I added a little snowflake on top of there that can be a standalone snowflake or can be used in the layering. There are so many different ways that you can create snowflake looks. You can use all white and have just a nice tone-on-tone look. You can use various cardstock colors like I'm doing here, but stay kind of in the same color family. You can go completely different and use a bunch of different colors and create rainbow snowflakes. There are just so many layering possibilities, and I just think it's so much fun to kind of play around and create different designs. Now I decided that I want to kind of figure out what I want to create here on my card design. So now I'm playing with dies and figuring out a design. And this one here I absolutely love. I love the open space that I end up with when I finish this snowflake. So once I have the dies picked out that I liked, I'm just going to take a liquid glue pen and I'm going to start to adhere them onto that little tag. Now I like liquid glue because it's easy to apply to the back of the snowflake. These are pretty delicate, intricate dies, so it is a little bit hard to use a tape runner. So if you have a glue pen, this is definitely one of the easiest ways to add adhesive. And then it allows you to position this die exactly where you want it on your panel or your die cut tag or anything that you're adding it to. So I just positioned this onto the tag where I wanted it, and I kind of moved it around to make sure I had it centered in the middle area of the tag. And then I'm just using my fingers to gently press down on it and make sure it adheres down onto the tag. Then I'm just going to repeat the process and I'm going to do the next layer. So I've added some liquid glue to this inside piece and I'm going to layer this one directly over top. Now this is the one I mentioned earlier that I really love because it fits exactly over the top of that bottom layer, so it looks like a continuous snowflake, but we have the nice color change with the outside area. Then for the center piece here, I'm going to add adhesive to this piece as well. And then this is going to tuck nicely into that bottom piece so that we have some open area on the center of the snowflake. I really love the look of having that grout gray on the outside area and then also in the center kind of peeking through the snowflake opening. If you want your snowflake to have more of a design to it, you can definitely turn these different pieces and kind of have everything overlap to get a completely different look. Now that I've completed the snowflake, I need to stamp my sentiment onto my panel. So I'm just going to take the Happy Holidays and some black licorice dye ink, and I'm just going to stamp this directly at the bottom of this panel. My original idea was to create little banners and have them go right across the snowflake ornament, but when I did that off camera, I really didn't like how much it covered up the snowflake, so I decided to do the sentiment stamping on the bottom and then have the snowflake adhered above that. Now I have some silver string here. This is like a thin silver thread, and I'm just using this and feeding it through the top of the ornament, and then I'm going to adhere this to the back of this panel so it looks like our ornament is hanging off of a string. So I'm going to add adhesive to the back of the ornament, and I'm really covering this to make sure it really adheres down onto the panel. And I'm going to make sure to pull that string up to the top so that it doesn't adhere underneath the ornament. And then I'm going to easily be able to adhere that to the back of the panel using a little piece of score tape. I like to use the score tape just because I know it's a really strong adhesive and it's going to hold that string in place. We definitely don't want it to pull out once we have the panel adhered to the card base, so using a nice strong adhesive is going to make sure that it stays exactly where we're positioning it. And then once I have that done, I'm just going to cut off the extra string at the bottom there. And then I'm going to add adhesive to the entire back of the panel so we can add it to our little blue card base that we have created to kind of give this a little bit of a blue matte. And the nice thing about the cardstock mat is that we have used one of the same colors that we used in the snowflake, so it ties all of the colors together. Now I'm just making sure my card is right side up because I have a tendency to add my panels upside down. So once I knew it was the right way, I went ahead and adhered this panel directly to the card base. To adhere the little bow to the top of the ornament, I'm going to use some matte multi-medium. This is a really strong liquid glue and it's going to make sure that that bow stays put once we've adhered it on there. And then I just like to take an ink pad and set it on top to really hold it in place till I know that that glue has set. To finish off the snowflake, I decided I wanted a little bit of bling in the center, so I added a little bit more of that matte multi-medium, and then I put a large clear sequin in the center, and then I'm going to fill the center of that sequin with some silver stickles. I love doing this on pretty much every card, but I really love it on these cards because it really makes the snowflake look wintry and glittery, and I just think it's a really gorgeous effect to have on the center area of that snowflake. And then once I have that done, our card is complete and we have this ornament positioned in the center of our card panel, and then we have this layered snowflake on top. Now this is a really great card to mass produce for the holidays, so I wanted to show you a couple more examples. These have the exact same card design, but I've changed up the layered snowflake and I've also changed up the greeting. And I've also changed the little mat of cardstock in the background. So I've used all three of the blue colors as a cardstock mat on all three of these cards. So this one here has a different sentiment. Then it has the snow cone cardstock mat, and then I have a layered snowflake that is completely different from the first one. And for that one there, I used Nouveau drops in the center instead of a sequin. For this third card here, I changed the sentiment once again, and I did some layering of the snowflake with the lightest color at the bottom and the darker color in the center. And then I used the darkest blue for the cardstock mat. So this is my collection of layered snowflakes 3 ways. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing the beautiful snowflakes that you guys create with this die set. And I will see you in another video soon. Thanks again for watching.